Before killing her kids, Lindsay Clancy searched about hallucinations, psychosis, and ways to die. This is another case about the House of Horrors. Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. So, for those who are not aware, this story the trial is taking place right now. This case happened back in January of 2023. This is about a mother. This is about a nurse. This is about a wife. This is about postpartum depression. This entire axiom is about women and the things and the struggles they go through during their pregnancy, giving birth. Mothers and women carry a heavy burden and are the central core of our families. So for you all to listen to this story, this story is all over TikTok, it's all over the social media sphere, and I thought I would do a storyline on what this story is about. The trial is happening right now in Massachusetts, and I definitely want you to like, share. I want to listen to this story very carefully. There's some dichotomies and some hypocrisy in here, and the dualities of life. And I think women, especially, I want to get your comments on this particular story. So let's go. So this is about the killings, the January 24th, 2023, Lindsay Clancy, a Duxbury, Massachusetts mother. She strangled her 3 children. Cora was 5, Dawson 3, and an 8-month-old named Callan, with exercise bands while her husband, Patrick, was out picking up food. Then she threw herself out of a second-story window of their home. She was paralyzed from the chest down after the fall and has been held at Tewksbury State Hospital ever since. So this is out of Massachusetts. This is a horrific case. I did a story a few weeks ago about the murder-suicide of an entire family, I think was in Ohio. Allegations that the husband did it, killed his wife and like 5 children. You can't get any more horrific than that. And then you get a case like this where this mother allegedly strangled her children with exercise bands. They say on average, and that's not an easy thing to do. If you have ever wrestled with somebody or any of that kind of stuff, you talking about lactic acid building up in your muscles. If you're not in shape, you can get winded within a minute or two. So this takes a lot of gumption and strength and fortitude for her to be able to strangle not 1 child, but 3 children. And they say on average, statistically, it could take 1 to 3 minutes to strangle a child and up to 5 to 7 minutes to strangle an adult. Not an easy thing to do. So she was charged. She was arraigned in October 2023 on 3 counts of murder and strangulation and pleaded not guilty. But let's get into, okay, so this is a mother. She's a nurse. In actuality, Lindsay Clancy worked as a labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. That's the hospital for Harvard University. Very smart lady. But so there's some issues with the medical community that they fail her, that they dropped the ball. She was being, and there's some controversy over her psychiatrist. So her psychiatrist was Jennifer Tufts, this very young white female. She had just finished her residency in psychiatry in 2022. Now remember, in August of 2022, and Lindsay committed this murder in January of 2023. So this psychiatrist that was seeing her was just out of her residency. She saw Lindsay Clancy in September of 2022. The psychiatrist advertised herself as a supervisor in postpartum mental health. Now, how could she be a specialist or an expert when she just finished her residency? She also looks about 12 or 15 years old. She looks extremely young. So she's very inexperienced, and she's definitely not a specialist or an expert. but she called herself a specialist or expert in postpartum mental health. And Lindsay killed her kids, again, like I said, just a few months later in January 2023. Dr. Tufts had never treated anybody for postpartum psychosis ever before. This was her first, freshly out of her residency. She did 4 years of medical school and probably 4 or 5 years of residency. Probably is in her late 20s, this Dr. Tufts. So Dr. Tufts has never treated anybody for postpartum psychosis. Dr. Tufts never even talked to any of Lindsay's other doctors. So I wanted to tell you that as a precursor as we go through this case. And we can see how, if you look on the medical paradigm, what's most important, the least important, mental health issues are always at the bottom. Psychiatric, psychological issues are the lowest paid out to the providers, the lowest level of care. Now, if you talking about heart surgery, brain surgery, orthopedics, they're at the top of the paradigm. Eye surgery at the top of the paradigm. Mental illness is looked upon as a certain stepchild. So here are the two sides. Prosecution argues that this was premeditated, her killing her 3 children. At her arraignment, a prosecutor said Lindsay created the situation and she used Apple Maps to make sure she would have enough time to strangle each child before her husband returned home. She calling it done with deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. So this story is going to be tough. I meant to caution folks on this if you haven't heard about it. So the defense argues that she had postpartum psychosis. Her attorney, Kevin Reddington, has said she obviously had no reason to want to kill those 3 beautiful children. This woman was a troubled soul. The defense's core argument is that Lindsay had a psychotic breakdown and couldn't resist voices telling her to kill her 3 children and herself, while prosecutors reject that framing. So the current status on this case, she's on trial right now. Jury trial started in July 2026 at Plymouth Superior Court and is ongoing. As of this week, day 13 of the trial, as of August 13th, some key threads from the testimony have come out so far. Prosecutors argue she deliberately planned the killing, pointing to evidence that she sought help in the months before, meeting with psychiatrists, attending an outpatient program, and a 5-day inpatient stay at McLean Hospital. A major fight has emerged over whether Lindsay was coached by a psychologist hired by her legal team to tell her husband she had been hearing voices. A theory investigators looked into, but a state trooper testified they found no evidence to support that she was being coached into saying that she was having a psychosis. Medical examiner's office staff have testified about the children's injuries, and the judge has reminded jurors their verdict must rely solely on the evidence and not on sympathy, anger, or prejudice. So Lindsay reportedly broke down sobbing during testimony from a mental health counselor who treated her, who testified Lindsay's presenting concerns had included anxiety, lack of sleep, and suicidal ideations. Also, the attorneys who represented Andrea Yates and Cheryl Massip, 2 other high-profile postpartum psychosis cases where these young ladies had allegedly killed their children, have publicly weighed in on Lindsay's case. This trial is still underway as we speak, so a verdict has not yet come in yet. Please look up and deep dive in this case, especially women. I want to get your comments. Please share and like. This case is going on right now, and this could happen to anyone. It's very unfortunate, and I'm just trying to shed a light that there are many people. I talk about 2 pillars that are destroying America and our society today: untreated mental illness and definitely the opioid crisis. So Lindsay was prescribed 13 different psychiatric medications in the 4 months before the deaths of her 3 children. This is from September 2022 to January of 2023. We're only talking about 4 or 5 months. Totaling more than 30 individual prescriptions. So what were some of the medication categories that she was on? She was on an antidepressants like Zoloft or Prozac, antipsychotic like Seroquel, benzodiazepines like Valium, Klonopin, Ativan, sedatives, sleep aids like Benadryl, Trazodone, Ambien. She even had a mood stabilizer, Lamictal. These medications were prescribed by multiple providers, psychiatrists, nurse practitioners, emergency department doctors, and inpatient psychiatric program staff. So she's got 30 medications, 30 prescriptions, all kinds of drugs that she's taking. And you got to remember, her psychiatrist, her new psychiatrist that she saw in September, that just recently completed her residency and got her DEA license to prescribe medication or drugs, category Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3 drugs. Dr. Tufts, the young psychiatrist, she did not co-counsel or co-elaborate with any of her other doctors. Jennifer Tufts just took on this woman's case and did not do any of her research to see how she was being treated by other ancillary medical staff members and what was going on in her prior history. This young psychiatrist dropped the ball because she had no experience. Also, to tell you, Lindsay, let's tell you a little bit about her and the duality and the dichotomy in this story. She went through postpartum psychosis, but guess what she did for a living? Lindsay Clancy worked as a labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital, as I said earlier, in Boston, Massachusetts, which is the Harvard University Hospital. It was a role she held for about 9 years, from 2014 to 2023. She attended an accelerated nursing program at Massachusetts General Hospital before working as a labor and delivery nurse. So evidently, this was a smart woman. She knew about herself. She also had a deep, strong medical background. She worked at one of the top hospitals, university hospitals in the country, not just in Boston. So she was well abreast and educated on postpartum issues with women that have had children. And remember, she had 3. In her role as a labor and delivery nurse, she worked directly with mothers during childbirth and the immediate postpartum period, meaning she was professionally trained to recognize signs of postpartum mental health struggles in others, which is a notable point of context in the coverage of this case. That's the duality and the dichotomy. She was somewhat of an expert in postpartum recovery or issues after a mother delivers her baby, and she ended up succumbing allegedly to those same postpartum psychosis and issues and doing the most damaging, diabolical thing you could do to your family and your children, let alone she attempted to try to kill herself by jumping out of a second-story window. Tell me what you think on this case that's active right now. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.